This video is made for adult collectors because what do you mean I'm starting to have screen burn on my friggin' LG gaming monitor that I only bought 3 years ago? What? That shouldn't happen. The Carnotaurus, peacefully grazing on whatever it would eat, meat, I guess, I don't know. And then all of a sudden, an asteroid came out of nowhere and killed it. The asteroid was supposed to stay in frame, but it didn't. Stupid asteroid. So, the first movie toy to come out. Actually, there were two, but the other disintegrates. But this first one was... Well, actually, this is not that one. The first one was the blue one. Protoform Prime was the preview figure along with GPS Starscream, and these were both designed in a day by Aaron Archer, and damn. Let that man lock in and boom, he produces this banger of a deluxe. This is Protoform Optimus Prime, and this is the other copy I got 2 days later and had it signed by Aaron Archer himself, which is super cool. I'm gonna hang that in my office. But this is Protoform Prime, and this particular one is the Last Night deco. So it's a darker gray with Cybertronian tattoos and some new splotches of red, and the black is replaced with like a darker gray. I think I prefer this deco more, and so does Archer, funny enough, but this deco just feels more film accurate, which is funny to get this 10 years post-film. I love all the sculpted detail with the bits of pipe and wiring feeling like muscle exposed in the skeleton frame with the blue on the chest, and I personally like the shoulder bits up rather than out to the side because I think it looks like those bits on the truck version of Optimus. There are really only two things I don't like about this robot mode, and they all come from the back section. This bit sticking out at the weird angle way too far, which is odd to mess with. Then these panels that flare out kind of get in the way of the arm articulation and don't snap in, so they move when handling it. Those are like my only real issues with this, because this figure is a lot of fun. It has so much articulation and there's no automorph, so none of that gets in the way of this thing looking super cool. He comes with a gun that looks pretty neat, but I don't know, for some reason it's always just reminded me of a pen. Something about it is very pen-like. There's also a blast effect. Yes, a blast effect in 2007. It's a weird looking one, but the shape suits the alt mode more than the robot mode. This to me kind of also fits in like a Studio Series shelf as those generics because they were kind of tall in the movie. I don't know, I think I might make this a Decepticon protoform till we actually get a Studio Series one. Please do a Studio Series one. Going back to the articulation of this thing though, this thing has loads of stuff it can do in its joints. So bro is more articulated than most deluxes we get nowadays. I think almost all deluxes we get nowadays. There's a lot in here, and I remember talking to Aaron Archer about this at TFCon, and he was talking about like how this was like he wasn't supposed to do this initially, and then he did do it, and it took like 24 hours to do it, but he focused on articulation over anything else on this figure because he could. And it made something really awesome. They ended up using 10 years later because it still works. And I kind of hope if they do a Studio Series one, they base it off of this a little bit because I'd love for it to be this tall again and this articulated. So the head can rotate left and right. This is the only thing I wish could go up or down. It is locked in. You can open this up and unpeg the little thing at the back so he can look up. But it's a bit cumbersome to do, so I kind of wish he can look down a little bit on that hinge too, but like once you get it all situated, all he can really do is rotate. These shoulders, like I said, I like these up, but you can flare them out. These shoulders, they can do a full 360, though they do bump into this. Fold this out of the way. Then you can kind of force it around to get it around there, but it's a bit, and these things are a little bit annoying. Great, now I gotta force it back. Ah, I don't like that sound. The shoulders can go out that far. You do have a bicep rotation, 90-degree elbow bend, wrist swivel. Now, anytime you hold this figure, right, you pick it up, and you pick it up by pushing on this, the arm panel, or the panels behind the arms, will fold in. And it's kind of annoying to have these things fold in all the time and push the arms. So messing with that can be a bit strange. He does have a waist joint and an ab crunch. A dedicated ab, there's a cut in there for a dedicated ab crunch that crunches that far forward. That far forward. There you go. Doesn't go back at all, but it does go forward, which is super helpful. I believe the waist is just on a ball joint, which helps. The legs can go forward all the way. They can go back about that far. He can do almost a full splits. The wheels get in the way. You do have a very nice thigh rotation. Just a tiny touch over 90 degrees of bend at the knee, like a millimeter more. And then the ankles can go down, they can go up, they can rotate, and they can pivot. Now, I wish there was a little bit more of a cut so they could pivot more. And if you look at the legs, right, this ball joint actually sits a little bit more out this way than the knee does. So the leg kind of does this at the bottom, and that's so that the alt mode works, but it does visually look a bit strange. But yeah, his articulation is insane. For a 2007 toy, an ab crunch, wrist swivels, that is awesome. I love posing this thing. It's so much fun. It's a very cool toy and a pretty cool start to a toy line, but it's also kind of funny because you get this and then go, wow, it's so articulated, and then none of the toys in the actual toy line to follow suit feel like this. But anyways, he does have an alt mode. It's a strange one, but he has one. The transformation it's a wee bit strange, but it's still pretty fun to do. There's a couple things that I didn't get this with instructions, so I was figuring it out myself, and there were a couple things that were odd and like crashing into each other, and then I found solutions for it. So whoa, unplug the blast effect, fold this up, and then fold that up, and that's the gun all compressed. You can store it in the backpack, though it does mean that the backpack sits like this rather than this. A little unfortunate. So the figure itself, what we're going to do first is bring this section up, not all the way, just about that far, so that we can push open the little door behind his head, fold the head up, and just sort of leave it like that. Then we're going to T-pose the arms and rotate the upper waist 180 degrees. It will sort of soft ratchet into place there. Then we're going to rotate the shoulders 90 degrees forward. And then what I like to do is take the hands and rotate them thumb up this way a little bit. That way there's enough clearance here to fit through this with the gun in place, because I find that's what collides. So once we do that, we're going to fold this the rest of the way up and then fold that flap down. Take the gun and it's just going to, whoa, this part right here is just going to slide into a little thing right up there at the top. So you just slide that into place. Get that all nice and squeezed in all the way. Then we're going to take the arms and bring them in, and then just get this whole thing situated properly. You want to make sure that this flap here is all the way down, because that will also collide with the gun, causing problems. But once you get all that in and all the gaps sort of filled in, we're going to take these panels, fold them up. Then we want to take the feet and bring them out this way. And as you can see, the legs are going to just peg together. And then you fold these flaps up on either side. Bring this up at the hips, not at the ab crunch, at the hips. So you bring it up at the hips there, and then you get that peg here, and it's not quite lined up. Then you move the ab crunch a little bit to get the feet lined up and all pegged together. And once you get all that nice and squeezed in place, you want to make sure these shoulders are completely straight, because if they're a little bit turned, they'll get underneath these and they won't peg in. Then you bring these in, and they will tap into the sides like that. Just make sure everything is nice and put in place. Then you take the blast effect and you come and you clip it into the back of the... You clip it into the back of the tail. There we are. And that's your rock. There's your flying asteroid. It's pretty easy to do once you get the hang of it. It's just this part here. Like that gap I don't like very much. And the gun just kind of gets in the way a little bit, but it's still pretty neat. He turns into a flying rock. This turns into a meteor, and that's kind of cool. Flying rock. That's kind of cool. From what I remember him telling me, Aaron Archer wasn't given much in the way of art for the alt mode, so this is a pretty good approximation of what it was going to look like in the film. It has elements of truck on it, like the smooshed wheels, the front windows, and the tiny little grill. And I really like the last night version with like the red and the white symbols all over it. The blast effect can plug into the back, and it looks like a comet tail as it enters the atmosphere. It's even got cutouts for his little toes. There's a spider in my face. Where did that come from? He does have wheels, so he can roll, though this thing is very tail heavy and it likes to fall back when you push it every once in a while. But I really like this toy. I do hope they do a new, more accurate version in Studio Series, but this is a very nice stand-in for now. Though recently I've noticed the value has shot up on this. I do recommend one if you can get it for like $30, maybe $40. I really want to get that G1 colored one. That would be awesome. And then there's that clear blue one, but that's too expensive. I don't care. But that's my look at Protoform Optimus Prime, specifically the Last Night deco. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.